call to order the meeting of the City of Columbiana Planning Commission, July 9th, 2019. I'd like you all to rise for the invocation and the pledge of allegiance to the flag.
Lord, we pray you will help our commission members to make decisions that will benefit our community and make it a better place to live. Give them courage and faith to carry on their duties. In your name we pray. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, I'd like to ask for Deanne to call the roll.
Scott?
Here.
Donna?
Yes.
Rick?
Here.
Tucker?
Here.
Brian?
Here.
Mark?
Here. Thank you. You all got a copy of the minutes of the June 11th Planning Commission meeting. Are there any questions, comments, or suggestions on those minutes? Hearing none, they'll be accepted as submitted here tonight. First item under new business is a replat. Vernon L. Longer seeks the Planning Commission approval to replat 737 and 747 Springfield Road in order to sell the property and homes. Vernon?
It was approved last time, got all the specs on it. Any questions?
The question that I asked again was last time was making sure the utilities didn't, and we were confirmed that the utilities do not, the houses are being split and the utilities stay on each individual split of property. We confirm that?
It is, they are split, the electric, they are billed separately.
So they, okay, but my question is, do they both, what we don't want to do is split the lot and have both the utilities run through the split lot. So you're telling me, you come up here and help me explain this to me. So there's Springfield Road, and there's a house in front and a house in back.
Right.
Okay. So the sewer, water, and gas to this building house goes this way, and you're telling me this one.
This house comes in front and over to that house.
Okay, but the utilities go out. The utilities to the back house are literally all in this utility, all in this piece of property.
Yes.
And I find that a little bit hard to believe without them located on the map. So I'm just saying, do we have anything that city GIS work?
I'm gonna check it out here.
I don't want to split it and cause a headache without having a utility easement.
Yeah.
And if it is, then there'd be no question. I don't have any problem with it.
How do we go about getting it approved?
I have a question. I'd just rather ask it if you can to any ingress to this back property.
Yes, it's, they have, right of way out to Park this way, on the road that it comes around. Yeah.
In theory, you could, in essence, sell both these properties.
Yes, exactly, that's
I'm not
right.
sure what our issue is.
What?
Do we want two properties sitting there without them being able to be sold? Or do we, he says that the electric's already split, Tucker. I'm not sure what your concern is.
Gas and sewer and water.
Well, there's gas and sewer lines running everywhere in town.
But my question is,
other property. So are you saying it's in case of a problem?
maybe you have to have a utility easement. Okay, here's the problem is, unless there's a utility easement on this piece of property,
Right.
okay, and there's gas and sewer
Okay,
running next to this
the
house.
gas may go across that one property.
Okay, if the utility, so what happens is, okay, this guy in this front piece of property, and he's digging one for the swimming pool. Okay, he digs right across the utilities, the guy in the back has no right to put the utilities back in again, okay? Unless you have a utility easement, or show me that the utilities are routed around it, okay? And then you do have utilities all through property all the time, but you have a utility easement that's shown on the map.
I can get the utility, both of these, potential buyers are familiar with each other, and I can get them write it into the, contract that they do have that easement.
Just put an easement, into the contract.
A blanket easement?
Yeah.
I think Pittsburgh, not Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania does that.
Why don't you just approve it pending that?
I think we did not.
Yeah, that would pretty much suggest an improvement pending completion of, an easement agreement that basically everybody signs off on.
Which in essence doesn't really put us on the hook, Tucker.
I agree.
It's buyer beware.
Right.
So, and I think that's what Mr. Elwanger does.
I'm fine with that.
Okay.
All set?
Who's gonna,
I'll make a motion, we approve that, submitted with a, well, it's really not ours to say it.
Mark's gonna be doing the,
Well, but
contract.
that's,
Yeah, but it was easy.
yeah, it is a separate
Yeah.
matter. But
it's not ours to say that there should be.
I don't think so. I don't think so. I think it's buyer beware, and I'm just guessing or surmising that you
They're,
have buyers.
they are, I've controlled that with them, we're going to say understanding that they have to have that, I have to have that easement on both, for ourselves and.
If he reserves an easement that basically benefits both properties, because right now, Vern owns everything.
Right.
Where Columbiana 4 will do. So Columbiana 4 or Vern, wherever the owner of the property is right now, reserves an easement for the benefit of both these properties, then there's not gonna be an argument down the road between anybody.
But our question is, as planning commission, is our job, when they're trying to split lots and utilities, buildings on there, do we bring up about utilities and easements? I asked the question, I asked the question because I'm dealing with something on an industrial park, I'm dealing with utilities and easements and all that fun stuff, and I don't wanna see us.
You know, obviously, my position here is a little bit newer than my, involvement, let's say, with planning commission, and honestly, I don't recall something that I've been involved in where planning commission really got too far involved with utility easements. Now, possibly that's because they were already in place.
Right.
But I don't know if planning gets involved with that aspect of the utility easements. I mean, I'll leave it up.
Even with existing, even with existing, I mean, on my path, I see it all the time. I don't solve the problems, I just wait until they are solved. They usually get solved. And with an existing place in a cellar, you know, what we want to insure against is having something pop up later on and say, hey, he didn't even sell.
Why do you allow
He's
that?
making us know now, he's not gonna sell these properties without making it known and have something in writing and addressing that. So any buyer that's gonna sign off on a note to buy or have it put in his name is gonna be aware of that. He should be, because he don't want them coming back on him, and we surely don't want them coming back to us.
I wanna protect
I
that second.
understand your concern, but I don't think it's an issue.
I think that it was good that you brought it up, and maybe in the future it's a good idea, so that.
I think the reason he's brought it up is because he's referenced the industrial park. We have had questions, about other properties and lines that run under buildings.
Exactly.
And so, I mean,
I want to be brought up for discussion as long as it's not out of line, okay? And the thing is, we don't have to slow them down, but as long as we know that, hey, you know what?
We made him aware. And
that's all we have to do.
I do appreciate that, yes.
Then I think if we want, you know, planning commission wants to discuss
Right, okay.
this is an issue, you know, great, I think that's, you know, that'd be another subject, but I think we can do that without getting too involved in this. My concern is if we overstep our bounds and then put ourselves in the position of responsibility for an easement for something like that, because I will tell you from my involvement in real estate over the years, easement agreements, right of ways, things like that cause arguments between parties. I think the last thing we want to do is get ourselves involved in that.
I just think he needs to be aware.
He needs to be aware.
The seller needs to be aware, the buyers need to be
Right.
aware.
I believe it's.
But I think if we
But I
start
don't
putting
think we,
conditions in,
yeah, I don't
then
think
we're
we
gonna
need
be
to do
involved.
that. I think we just need to tell them.
Correct, I would agree with that.
Conversely, we wouldn't want, just to touch on that one more step, conversely, we don't want to drag, I don't want to say this, but drag you out another 30 days to provide some evidence of what we may be requesting and have him lose a buyer.
Right.
And then he's gonna hold us responsible in another matter, which we don't want either, so.
Okay, I'm gonna recommend somebody make a motion in a second. And then, I'm not trying to cut off the conversation, but I think we should have a motion in a second and then discuss it in that manner.
I made the motion with the exception that we have made him aware.
So that's gonna be in the motion.
And I'll second.
Okay,
And you made aware of what?
That the easement situation, and, you know, you can have them, can you have them sign a disclosure or disclaimer? A buyer, what's that?
Surveyors can handle all that stuff.
Yeah,
Surveyors, if there's a survey of the property, that's all going to be handled.
Right.
I mean, I think it is buyer beware, but again, I don't think we
Well-
wanna get too far into disclaimers and waivers.
do you know exactly where the utility line is?
Anything I'm concerned, and I will protect that, the second house in, my son is buying it, and I will make sure that, I appreciate that, and I will
Well,
aware.
that's what I wanna be aware of.
Yeah, and I will protect that second house, the first house, like, isn't too much of a.
So Scott, what's your motion again?
Yeah, I wanna hear.
I made the motion that we accept it as needed, but we also advise our requester that, you know, he needs to make his buyers aware of the situation. To kind of,
Okay, so that's the motion? How's that, Dan?
Why don't you just make the motion approved as submitted?
I will then. I think we're making mountain out of the
Well, and then secondly, you could make a separate motion that he.
I don't think I need to.
Okay.
I'll make it as submitted,
Okay.
as proposed.
And she
I'll
seconded
second
that.
that.
Okay, so this is just a blanket, it's not gonna be in there, in the motion. There's nothing in reference to the utility easement issue.
I think the minutes can reflect that the municipal authority advised the planning commission that it didn't need to be.
Okay, and is that okay, Deanne, can you?
That way, the
You put
conversation
that
is noted.
It's not void, and but it's noted.
Can you put that in the,
Well, the statement Mr. Hudson made is that to put the easement in the contract, and it could be approved pending an easement agreement was the statement Mr. Hudson made, so.
okay, so, and that'll be in the minutes. Okay, so we have a motion and a second, as you stated it, Scott, and, we have that issue, that statement will be in the minutes of the meeting.
Okay.
So is there any further discussion on the motion?
No.
Okay, I'd like to call the roll.
Scott?
Yes.
Donna?
Yes.
Rick?
Yes.
Tucker?
Yes.
Brian?
Yes. Thank you.
Thank you very much,
James.
Thanks, Mark.
Okay, next item, is a replat. Terry Holton wishes to combine his recently purchased strip of property along South Bayshore Drive with his dealership property located at 14851 South Avenue Extension. Terry?
How you doing? Good. Well, this has been going on for 5 years, maybe more. Randy Walters lost Arrowhead in bankruptcy to Home Savings. There's a little piece of land between our store and the street. Randy's never maintained it. We've mowed it for 20 years. Okay, so I tried to get it through the sheriff's sale in Mahoning County. And if you've ever been through that courthouse, it's been going on for 5 years. Finally, I was able to hire an attorney to find out why it wouldn't go through, and they said because there's no plot number, there's no parcel number. So they can't transfer it to you because they don't know who owns it. So they decided that they were gonna give it a parcel number after I had it surveyed, and then they gave it back to Randy Walters. I said, now, how do you give it back to a guy that lost it in bankruptcy? And they said, well, you really didn't lose it because it didn't exist. And I says, well, you made it exist. I'm the guy that's been taking care of it for 20 years, and now you gave it back to him. So now, he has leverage on me on this sliver of land. Okay, now, why do I want it? The trees in the back are a pain in the neck with sap going on the cars and everything. I've had to clean up one tree that come down, there's 2 more dead trees down there, nobody's maintaining it. Now, I understand that the back of that lot is a buffer zone against residential. The front of the lot is commercial because Home Savings is up there. Going forward, I'm okay, and I probably got 3 trees I could take down. Going back, I guess I have the issue with you guys saying, can I tear those trees down, clean it all up, level it, and not replace the buffer zone? Now, why do I wanna do that? Because my service department is expanding like crazy. I need more stalls. I'd like to put maybe 4 or 6 stalls along the back there on the right. But it's up, I guess it's up to the planning commission on whether you want me to do that. There is a possibility I won't do that. I may just take the trees down, clean it all up, level it, and mow it, and make it look presentable, and then, I was talking to Tuck, I may go off the back of the building and just expand our building back another 40 feet and put some stalls in, so that we're, you know, I don't like outbuildings necessarily, I like it all to be up. But the bottom line is I need approval on the plot, which, do you guys have a copy of that? Okay, it's a non-significant piece of property. I already have probably 1,500 to 2,500 in it because I had to clean a tree up that fell down, and I had to pay a surveyor to make it exist. And now I have to work a deal with Randy Walters so that he signs off on it, which I think, if you have the paperwork, he already signed off on it. But, that's sort of where we're at.
I think it's right here. Is it right here, here? Right on here?
Yeah, it's right here, and it goes maybe 10 feet here, down to 1 foot. And, and then see how it goes? Yeah. This area here is, so all I'm getting is this little piece here, but this piece from right here, which is where the driveway is across me, clear back to here is all big trees, and some of them are dead trees, and they're a mess. And this has not been mowed or maintained.
It's not maintained. This area, is this, you know where the sidewalk is? Am I pointing to, this is already, am I pointing to the sidewalk? There's a public sidewalk, I think, that probably.
That ends right here.
That ends right here.
It ends right there, and then it goes around the corner for these lots behind the, Raymond owns this property right here from the Dutch house.
Correct.
But there's no walk going on.
No, I know that, yeah.
There's no walk on your side.
Yeah.
And then I'd like to ask, did Home Savings get involved at all in that?
No.
We did a while back, I need to say.
A while back, but then.
You inquired with me,
Yeah, you had no
we had no right.
proof of ownership.
No, we never found anything.
Never found anything, and the easy thing would have been if Mahoney County would have just signed it over to me. And, because I've been maintaining it for all those years, but that move to go back to Randy Walters just sort of like, was unbelievable. So
is there any chance, I don't like taking a barrier between commercial and residential and just removing it. Is there any way to put in like arborvitae or something there that would at least shield it?
Well, the thought is if we're gonna do, let's say that I don't build a building back there, and I get rid of all those trees and clean it all up. I could replant smaller trees, pine trees along there that wouldn't be offensive.
That's just something to buffer.
Just something to buffer it, or I think Mr. Throne says, why don't you put a 6-foot fence along there? That's a buffer, isn't it? Is that something that you would accept?
I prefer something natural to it.
Yeah.
Fence driving through there.
Now, the problem is, how narrow does the lot get back in the back? Is there even enough to? The problem is,
Tell because you can't, the trees up there.
this is a spot right here. And right? So how does that overlay to this? So let's look at that.
There you go.
So,
Okay, from the building to the end of the blacktop is 88 feet. So there's plenty of room here. Should I decide, you can see where the driveway is here, I feel like commercially I'm good to the edge of their driveway.
so there's no buffer required between C1
Commercial and
and
commercial.
C1. So that, those
Right
three
here
right,
is the problem.
is residential, which is R3.
So I know I can take those trees down and I'm still in commercial. And then if I wanted to, I can go to the edge of my property then and build a building if I wanted to, but I don't think I want to.
There's no setback requirements on C1, whereas there's a setback requirement on C1 versus R3.
So this, I'd have to set way back in.
It has to set 30 foot
Yeah,
back.
and I don't want to do that.
But you could get rid of it.
Whose trees are even on?
They're sitting right here.
And they go all the way back, though.
They go clear back to right past this corner here. And there's probably 3 dead ones in there, but their trees are huge. Nobody maintains them, we just,
They're more of a hindrance than
Right.
like
Yeah,
what
they're a
they,
pain,
what they
they're a
drop,
pain.
and I look at it
if
every
they
day.
were 6 feet tall, we wouldn't have a problem, but they,
We're better
you
off.
can't park cars along them because the sap goes on them, and
Yeah.
so the idea is just to, clean that all up.
I have no problem with it as long as we keep some type of natural barrier there.
Yeah, if you just have a pine tree,
I don't know if I do a pine tree. What are the other requirements when we go C1 versus an R? Normally there's a barrier tree they want. I think we have a set precedent on it.
Point of order, C4, correct?
What?
C4. Or C4.
Is it C4?
Yeah.
Red. Red. The red, actually, was that what the wrong spot?
Yep, right there.
Yeah, C4 and R3, right?
Yeah.
So does that change
Well, R is what gets approach to the barrier, not C. There's no lot limitation of C4 versus C1. So it's really just the barrier between C4 and R3 in that area. But we really couldn't say a whole lot until we own the property officially.
but
Correct?
isn't there in our book, and I don't even have our book in here, doesn't it say what trees you can have? Right, your book.
It looks like it goes C2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I don't know, is it change each so many feet?
No, those are pin markers.
Oh.
That's where geometry changes. Now, but we couldn't really even make a recommendation to you on the property, correct?
We could come like it, if you owned it.
If he owned it.
Yeah.
Okay.
He does own
No, not
He's got it.
officially.
He's got
it.
it,
You own this, don't you?
not yet.
Oh, you
He's
don't
got
own
it, but he's gotta get it.
No, I have it also.
I thought we
With-
wanted to combine the two.
Yeah, it's gonna be one plot, that's what they've drawn up here, if you approve it and sign off, then it'll become part of my main lot.
Okay, so you did get this off of Randy though.
Pardon
You
me?
did get this lot off of Randy.
Yeah.
You signed this plot, so now this
He
property.
does own it.
Right, okay, so you do own this property.
Yeah,
Randy's signing as an owner on the plat.
Okay.
yeah, he signed.
Platting this property, which I think what you're gonna do, aren't you, Terry, is then you're basically now being forced to buy it from Randy, and then you'll replat it on your.
Yeah, it's already set up, replotted with your approval and me and Randy coming to an agreement, so that's where we're at. He's okay with it.
It's not transferred though.
Huh?
It's not transferred.
No, that's Suburban Title will do, they said as soon as it goes through planning commission, if it's approved, come back to me and I'll go and title it and it'll be one plot. This strip will disappear and become part of your plot.
Isn't that a separate issue though? He's requesting a replat right now, he's not
Right.
requesting a site plan.
You're right. So you're applying for a replat,
Yeah,
but then you'd have to, if we approve the replat, which really has nothing to do with the trees, then you'd have to resubmit in for, with tree, a site plan review, once you have it all. And,
then we'll cut, then
well, but it's,
approve that, right?
well, but it's, so if we approve this today, okay, then you have to come back with a site plan review with the addition of trees you wanna replace the current pine trees with. And the city has recommendations of the trees they like to see.
yeah, there's an application for replat, which I think I gave to,
Correct, but that's what's here, but if you wanna remove the trees, then, if you wanna remove the tree, then you're in non-conformance with a, C3 versus, or C4 versus R3. So you have to submit in another drawing showing what trees you wanna put along that as act as a buffer.
okay.
And the city has that in the ordinances,
We can send it to you.
we can send to you, what trees they recommend.
The PDF with 4 pages of tree, we'll send it to you.
Okay.
They're a list of.
And then just come with a drawing showing the trees you wanna replace the pine trees with.
Okay.
And that's the next meeting before the dog eat. And that, as long as it meets the city's
Yeah.
requirements, we don't see a real problem with that.
Okay, so we're good.
Oh, we
Well,
got
we
it.
can
Yeah.
plat so he can get it.
Right.
Yeah, we got to
Okay.
replat.
Okay.
Are we,
I'll make the
do I have to
motion.
hold up on having that, you have to sign off on the replat before Suburban Title will go for deed, right?
We're
Right,
gonna
that's
do
what
that
we're
right now.
gonna do right now,
We're gonna do that right now.
right now.
Oh, okay.
Mylar, but they have to sign it tonight.
Yeah, we'll get that Mylar, we will sign that. Once somebody makes a motion.
I'll make the motion that we recommend a replat of Terry Fulton's property with the land,
You have my application.
All you need to do is move to approve the replat.
Okay.
The use of the property is a separate issue.
Okay, all right,
So that's your motion, right?
yeah,
Okay, so she's moving,
yeah.
requested replat,
Right.
it's presented to us. Is there a second? Second. And there's a second on that. Okay, any further discussion? So that way we'll be, if this is passed affirmatively, then we'll be able to sign the Mylar. You'll be able to move to the next step.
Okay.
And then go through, what Tuck laid out for us. Okay, any other questions or comments on the motion? Call the roll. Ian?
Donna?
Yes.
Rick?
Yes.
Tucker?
Abstain.
Brian?
Yes.
Scott? 3 yes, it passes.
Okay. Motion passes.
Yes.
Thanks, Terry.
Thank you very much.
Hey, Eric, before you leave, Eric, I said, before you leave, if you're gonna put trees, can I approve whatever you're gonna put in there, because I look at it every day for 8 to 10 hours.
What's that?
The trees, right, my window.
Yeah, that's
looks
right,
out of
you
your-
do, don't you?
And you may not wanna leave, you may not
Get
want
that signed.
You got doggies.
You have over?
Who signs it all? You just who signs?
Yeah, you should.
Yeah.
Rick signs it, and there's probably a spot for me to sign as well.
I mean, if you're gonna go, we'll just get this signed.
We have to have the pen.
If somebody gets the right kind of pen.
Augie's in here.
I sign which is the chairman, right?
Look at that, yeah, a little bit different.
Okay. That's the first for my spot. And sometimes they require the manager's signature.
I think that's on the planning director, it looks like.
Yeah, it's on the budget director.
Yeah, it says chairman and planning director, I don't see a place for secretary, so
You're off the hook.
I'm off the hook, so since you are the official zoning
How do I do
officer, I
that?
guess that would be.
Take a picture of the trees that I'm gonna put out.
No, all you have to do is draw, all you have to do is get a drawing,
That picture back, yeah.
right, take it, and list the trees that you're gonna replace with how far apart they are.
Changes the.
Is this something I can have?
Yeah.
Okay.
I probably have it somewhere.
Then, yeah, you use the list of spacing on how far apart they are.
Okay.
Hey, Terry, before you move forward with anything, just call me and we'll
Okay.
before you do anything.
Make sure they change all those dates to 2019.
Yeah, who signs it?
Make sure they change all those dates to 2019.
All the dates have to be.
You got all the signatures we need.
Yeah, you're done here.
Yeah, we're
When
done.
they record it, they need to fix
Oh, they
it.
need to change those dates.
Yeah.
Okay, so you guys aren't doing it.
Nope, we're done.
I'm set.
Yeah, you're set.
Thank you very much.
So we see you the next time.
Till next month.
Yeah, till next.
We won't give your trees to someone else.
Okay. The, next item, site plan review. Rick Stanley seeks approval from the planning commission to open an office in Fairfield Commons, 235 East State Route 14. It's Rick. Oh, here's Rick now.
Good evening, Amanda Banner on behalf of Rick Stanley. My apologies, he's traveling out of state, but they are looking to relocate their business offices for Newell PSN into the Fairfield Commons Plaza. They've acquired that rental space under a long-term lease. They have a 5-year with another 5-year option. So Newell has been in operations as Newell PSN for 15 years and has actually a much longer history with its predecessor. Rick Stanley has been involved with it for 30 years, so they've been operating for 15. They distribute porcelain insulators for substations and power lines. They're a global company. So they're a subsidiary of Power Grid Component, and their operation in Columbiana will consist of 4 employees that run PSN operations. So they're just moving into that space, nothing really, it was office space ready for them, so. They're vacating the property next to Tarnell, that they had been renting previously, when they needed warehouse space, which their warehouse operations were moving to Savannah, so.
Any questions for Amanda or a motion?
So they're vacating the current location.
Yes. Which is not part of the city.
I'll
So
make
now
the
let's
motion.
move them into the city, so.
I'll make the motion that we approve the site plan for Rick Stanley at 235 East State Street, Route 14.
Second. There's a second. Any other questions or comments for Amanda regarding this motion? Okay, call the roll.
Rick,
Yes.
Tucker,
Yes.
Brian,
Yes.
Scott,
Yes. Thank you.
Donna? Yes.
I'm sorry about that. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Hey, man, I'm staying on these. Okay, I have to give you this.
Okay. Our next item is a subdivision variance. Caitlin and Javier, is it Ibarra? Ibarra.
Yeah.
Would like to purchase lot 51 located in Berry Verde and build a new home on it. Because it is a corner lot, they will need a 15-foot east front yard variance. Thank you for coming.
Thank you. Good evening. I'm here representing me and my husband because he's currently out of the country. But then I also have these handouts for everyone. I drew up this map, you could call it, or a sketch of what we would like to do on lot 51. And there is a typo in what you have on, it says a 15-foot variance, but it's supposed to say a 30-foot variance, so that way then there would be the total of 50. In between the house and then the curb.
It was explained to me, you're looking to keep the front of the house in line with all of the other homes?
Yeah,
You
so,
just want the side on the corner to be set back 15 feet instead?
yeah, so the only side that we would change would just be the east side, and so instead of the 45 feet requirement, it would just be 15. So like our front door would be in line with everyone else's, we'd still be 8 feet from the neighbor's property, and then the back lot that sits behind, the house would be no more than 45 feet from that property line.
And Augie has included the, 1232.06 variance issue, which relates to this matter.
Yes.
So, is there any questions? Any comments? So it's gonna face Fair Verde as the other homes.
So it's like a third road, just so you know.
Okay.
You're going to face the same direction as Wilson's, correct, which would be your neighbor immediately, your only neighbor on the other side of where you're gonna go, correct?
Yes, I'm not gonna do Wilson Dog, but if that's who they are, then yes.
How wide's your house?
Well, that's what we've been working on. We have not come up with an official house plan yet. We have been working with Schumacher, and we've come up with a house plan that would be between 65 to 70, because there's also a deed requirement. We had a house that was not as wide, but there's a deed requirement that says the square footage has to be 2,250 square feet.
Okay.
So,
Let me ask you something, I think you might, maybe I'm missing something. Your property is actually 110 foot wide. It's only 80 foot to the beginning of the curve. So if your property is 110 foot wide, minus 8 foot setback on one side, minus 15 foot back on that, is an 87 foot wide house. That seems awful wide.
So, whenever I was talking with Mr. Suzanne, who owns that lot, the original width of the house that we were looking at was 64 feet wide, and even that was too wide according to him. And that didn't even have a square footage requirement, so he said we would need to have a variance even with that small.
Here, I think from my understanding, I think there's a mistake in your mathematics. Your lots are 110 foot wide. In surveying terms, that 80 foot is the beginning of the curve. So I think your lot, you're assuming this is 80 foot wide, it's actually 110 foot wide, but 80 foot to the beginning of the curve.
Right, no, actually, I confirmed that with Mrs. Sanic, so once you get past that radius, and we would be because of the 45 feet setback, then it would still be 110.
So yeah,
So yeah, it's 110 where our house was.
It's 110 foot, so then if your house is, because right now there's precedence on the other end of the street of 30 foot, okay? That I wouldn't have a problem approving it as a 30 foot setback, because I want to measure the other house on the other end. So if you have 110 feet minus 30 foot setback on one side, minus 8 foot setback on the other side, your house can be 72 foot wide.
With the front door facing this way?
Well, if this, you're right, so if this is allowed to be, okay, without doing a variance, it requires 45 on both sides, right? So if you go 110 minus 45 minus 8, it's 57 foot. Your house can be 57 foot without doing the variance.
Correct, and the original one was 64, but, Mr. Suzanne said that I have to make the house bigger to fit his deed requirements.
Okay,
So it could be, the ones that we've been looking at have been between 65 and 70 feet wide.
but if you say a 30 foot, I'm just showing what's out there. If you go 30 foot on one side, which is what's already set as a precedent, still would require variance, but it's already set as precedent, and you go 8 on the other.
Still have to require a variance.
It still has to require a variance, right. It still would require a variance, but it gives you not the 15 foot, it's 110 minus 30.
38 minus 38.
110 minus 72. Yeah, 72 foot.
So she could build a 70-foot two-house.
A 72-foot house, she'd have to change her variance request from 15 to 30.
Correct, yeah, that's what I was saying, is that, that was a typo in the agenda, that whenever when the first time I went to the office talking with Audrey and everything, we were talking about all of
Oh, okay.
that.
I thought you meant you wanted the variance from 45.
So no, I think she's okay with the 30.
Right, the sketch is wrong too.
No, so that's what, that was a misunderstanding. So, there was a typo in the agenda, and so originally I was asking for a 30-foot variance, but when it got typed up,
Says 15.
it says 15. So,
It should be 30.
but it should be 30. So the sketch that I gave you is correct for what I was originally requesting.
No, it's not.
That's a part of the confusion.
That's the part, the sketch shows 15
It makes
foot.
all the sense up until the last sentence you said.
There'd be 15 feet in between my house and, yeah.
Okay, but is the sidewalk part of the lot? It's not.
I'm not sure if it is.
What I measured out there went from curb line to the edge of the woman's house. And she was out mowing grass, she asked me what I was doing. So I went from curb line to, cause they messed it up all over the place where they pull property lines from. So what's out there is 30 foot from curb line to edge of house. And that is lot, in this map,
51.
no, lot 9.
Oh.
Current lot 9 is like that.
Down at Oak Court, just the opposite end.
Yeah. So she's here at
Looking
51.
at 51 is what we're talking about, 9 has a 30-foot.
Right, and here's what,
Did we give a variance like that on that lot 9?
that's what 30 foot looks like.
Whose is 30 foot, whose is the 30 foot?
Lot
Number
9,
9. Which one is it?
Do
you have a map?
Yeah, I know, but I'm trying to visualize which house it is.
Oh.
I'm kind of familiar.
I got it pulled up.
In the beginning, when she started talking, she said instead of a 45-foot setback on the front, she's requesting a 30-foot variance to allow a 15 feet, is what she said when she first started talking.
so she just wasn't a typo.
So that's where the 15,
I'm sorry.
It wasn't a typo, it
What
was,
our notes, I think she wants to
that.
change the agenda presentation.
We just need
She
to
said
make-
it should have been
we need to make a motion to approve
Right.
30.
no, she's saying it should be 30.
Right.
Yes,
We need to
right.
make a motion to approve 30.
30 foot setback from the curb.
Okay.
Okay, yeah. I'll make a motion to approve with a 30-foot side setback from the curb.
So then, okay, so then,
Wait,
on my
no, wait,
understanding.
stop, I don't like that.
Okay,
Is there a second to that? Did you second?
Yes.
Okay, did you catch that, Dan? Motion and second.
30-foot side setback is the motion
From the curb.
from the curb.
And Brian seconded that motion. Now you can.
okay, so
We have
then
a
just so
motion.
I know whenever I go to start designing my house, so my understanding is that on the east side here, from, that motion, that we would have 30 feet from my house to the curb.
Yeah, correct.
Okay.
Correct.
Which matches the other end.
Which matches
Corner on the
lot
other side.
9.
Okay,
And that, and your change of the statement in what was presented in the agenda would change that 15 to 30, and that matches up. What we
Okay.
got ready to approve. Okay?
Because I think 15 would be too narrow for you to get that passed.
So, we have a motion on the floor. Any other discussion on the motion? Those from the same thing? I'd like to call the roll.
Tucker?
Yes.
Brian?
Yes.
Scott?
Yes.
Donna?
Yes.
Rick? Yes. Very good.
thank
Nice
you very much.
presentation.
Thank you.
So you can build up to a 72-foot wide house, looks like,
Yeah.
up to 72.
So I can, okay, 72 feet wide.
Right, here, there you go. And that's how I can do it.
All right,
Thank you very
thank you
much.
very much, everyone.
Thank you. Okay. Now, for the planning commission here, after the agenda was sent out, we received notice here in front of us that one person wishes to be recognized, Roy Crick, Crick Construction wishes to build 2 single-family homes on the corner of 6th Street and Firestone Avenue. How do you feel about discussing it? Because it didn't meet our agenda requirements, so what do you want to do? What's the feeling?
I don't know if I'm discussing it, because if there's issue, we don't have to vote on it tonight.
Okay, that's fine.
I would have a hard time voting on it with such little time. Sometimes we're a little bit more tolerant, but, the gentleman that's opposing it is in the construction industry. He should know that you gotta get there a little bit earlier than the day of the meeting. Sometimes you're a little more tolerant of people that don't know, but they should know, and, we can discuss it.
For the sake of the reference, I think, Mr. Chris, are you here? You want to state who you are? I assume you're looking like you're the person who wishes to speak to this matter.
Tucker doesn't want me to speak,
No, I didn't say that. I'm just, my concern, my question is we hadn't had a chance to look at anything rather than get it thrown in front of us, and I hate to vote on something.
I'll come back. Mr. Tucker.
I personally like any kind of construction that gets put in front of us, and the opportunity.
Well, he didn't.
These are the two, we should retain him and talk about it. I agree with you 100%, Brian, you're right.
Well, I have a problem that I got submitted today.
What says we couldn't talk about it?
I didn't say we couldn't talk about it.
Okay.
I didn't say we couldn't talk about it. I said, let's talk about it, but if he wants to.
You've already obviously had some discussion with him.
No, I haven't.
Oh.
Okay, here's the deal is, as professionals in the industry, you're held to certain standards. Okay, and I submit all the time. If I don't make a deadline, if I call, if I try to work through it. But I've never once shown up to a meeting, the day of the meeting, and said, here, look at this. I do this for a living, but I don't follow any of the rules. And that's not, probably, if I looked at it and actually sat down and looked at it, I'd probably prove it, okay? But for a gentleman to walk out of the meeting because I gave him a little bit of scolding because he didn't meet the deadline, that's insane. I didn't tell him I was gonna vote on it, didn't tell him I no. I said, you're a professional, this is what you do for a living, we have deadlines, you ought to try to make it.
When did he talk to you, Augie? 4:15 today?
4:15.
4:15 today.
I concur, I take back my comment with you. That's a little abrupt.
And
My only concern, my agreement with wanting to sit and talk to him was, we already have one under construction, 100 feet away. And somebody already had the intent of building on that lot at one time, years ago, and they passed on it. There's a guy that wants to put 2 more homes right there.
I'm all for it.
That's where I come up with my comment.
The lady before us, she gave it here, I'm gonna make sure she got what she needed, okay? And give me a day to look at it. Let me drive by the lot, make sure there's not a problem with it, okay? And then I'd be.
Well, I appreciate the fact that you go look at somebody's lots, and I think, because you're a builder, you know what you're looking at.
And this guy isn't even a competitor, I don't even compete against him. I've never run against him in 15 years. You've got to respect it. The city will do anything for anybody that comes in, literally, the city will do anything. But you have to show the city a little bit of the same respect, by at least trying to get it before 4:15 on the day of planning commission.
Well, and we've run into this several times now, with people coming in late with submissions.
What's our date for submission?
Last Tuesday.
What?
Last Tuesday.
If it was did anybody ever turn you down when you turn it on Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Monday?
We've actually had supplemental packets delivered to the house.
Right, and we don't care, we're fine with that.
Yeah.
But, my gosh, show a little bit of respect. But do we wanna talk about it? Make sure it meets up to, it's on the agenda. I just told them
It actually is not.
it's not on the agenda. Okay, they're not talking about it.
It wasn't on the agenda because, you know, it was submitted at 4:15, and, you know, and we are gonna get into situations where we're setting precedent by, you know, deciding to discuss stuff that comes in, you know, a half an hour before the office closes on the day of the meeting. I mean, you know, this young lady here took all the time to get it right.
You got a very valid point, so do you, Tucker, right?
And so, you know.
You do. I agree, because you don't wanna set a precedent there, and it'd be different if he was in here every other month like some others.
Yeah.
He's asking for your, he would be asking for your approval on a replat of lots. So, once you've granted that approval, if he meets whatever zoning requirements he needs to meet in that district, he can build what he wants. So, I think you do need to have time to look.
He was showing site plans and everything.
Which is asking, you know, in a way, when I looked at this, I was curious to see what would happen with it, because my thought was, if this was submitted today when it's supposed to be submitted a week ago, the reason for that is to give you time to actually consider it. And now, when I looked at the package, it's as if he's asking for more than just a plat approval. I mean, he can't record the plat till somebody signs off on it.
Do you own the lot now, that's a lot now?
And look, yeah, Bob Lyden signed it, looks like, on the July 2nd. I mean, it's moving quick.
But I don't know that it's
He'll be
recorded.
back. If he bought it, he'll be back.
He can't record the plat without your signature, without planning commission, without Rick's signature, he's not recording the plat.
Now, if he asked, and sometimes you've also had special meetings to help people get through stuff, okay? And I'm not opposed to that.
Could probably be Colin.
Oh, that's fine. You know, as long as he meets all the requirements, that no one in this has a
Is this the guy
endeavor.
that's building the house over on Sixth Street?
No, that's, somebody else.
Does that have enough clearance everywhere?
Okay.
Okay.
All right. Are there any other commission, anybody out there want to make any other comments about anything?
Yeah, I got something. I don't mind taking a second and, making a comment, and, Columbiana is a growing community, and I heard some rumblings recently of somebody, an individual that's got himself in a little bit of trouble. And, I'll make some blanket statements, and then maybe this is the people that hopefully can get it put to bed. Columbiana is a great basketball coach. About a year or so ago, a girls basketball coach, probably the best coach Columbiana ever had. A little bit rough, a little bit tough around the edges, but Columbiana produced. Some parents didn't necessarily like how he dealt with stuff, and things happened, and it wasn't handled in an appropriate way, in my opinion, a little old school opinion, but, the guy got run out of town, and Columbiana's girls basketball team hasn't been the same. This is about another individual that sounds like he got himself in a little bit of trouble, and, I'd like some cooler heads to maybe get together and put some of this stuff to bed behind some closed doors, because I'm afraid if it doesn't, everyone's gonna lose in the long run. Some apologies need to be said, some people need to be taught. Sometimes men do things that they shouldn't do in heat of moments, and I'd really like to see it put to bed, because it may be a victory or winning in a short term, but I'm afraid Columbiana itself will lose in the long term. The individual talked to me on the phone, and he is definitely in the wrong scenario, but I'd like it to be held with a little bit softer glove and some closed door meetings between some gentlemen. I really don't want to comment, I just kind of want to put it out there, and hopefully it gets put to bed in a way that everybody wins in the long term.
Is there any other comments from the commission? Anybody sitting out there from the public who would like to comment?
Not in your life.
Yeah, I wanna ask a question. Yeah, we got 2.5 inches of rain
in a very short amount of time. And do you call that a 100-year storm, or 150, or 200 years?
I'm calculating it right now. See?
That's the most rainout you can tell.
It's over 100, but I reached out to an engineer, and we're gonna get it by next Tuesday, so.
Okay. I'm not making a wave, it was just, I've never. No.
We had.
The aggregate rain we've had,
No, the grain on Big Sunday, 45 minutes.
We got over 4 inches,
and how long?
45 minutes.
I wasn't in town, but really?
I think it was phenomenal.
I mean,
Very small portions of town got that. I didn't get.
I didn't either.
My wife must have been behind closed doors, because my daughter made a comment that said she's never seen a rain in a short period of time so hard for so long. That's what she was referring to.
The pond on Metz Road blew out and come across and tore down fences and stuff. Everyone's posting all those pictures.
we had 4 inches of rain in our plant. 4 inches of standing water.
And over on the other side of town, going towards Salem, they only had .8.
Wow.
It's so much so that our wastewater treatment plant didn't even see I mean, it took it so well, because there was no increased flow, so it's just, it did not make it to the, the city sewer.
The ILT parking lot on 14 was,
Totally
flooded.
Yeah.
Mandy, was the 4 underwater? though?
Yeah, I mean, that always is.
Well, your swimming pond, I mean.
Yeah. So we have a lake view, know. It's only there certain days.
Pond would be good for you.
Yeah, those buses from the bus line, I mean, the water was over the wheels. I mean, it was high. It was amazing.
Thank God we got a little bit of heat and sunshine too. It's not much of a remedy, but at least it's, yeah.
Okay, other than Skip, does anybody have anything to say? Okay, hearing none, I'm called for adjournment.